Well, welcome to Your Optimum Health. I'm Jeff Harrison along with
Dr. Edmund Chein.
Dr. Chein. Today I know in this session, and we've got a series going on here about mold.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, kind of tell me a little bit more of the background, if you will, of what is mold and why should we be concerned about it?
Well, because mold is one of the biggest environmental toxin problems in our country right now, and because it's a serious health hazard, and it's been mostly, in my view, misdiagnosed. Doctors who didn't graduate from medical school after 2008 or didn't keep up with the advances in medicine after 2008 wouldn't know anything about it, wouldn't know how to treat it, wouldn't know how to diagnose it accurately.
So if you're saying if my doctor, I go to a doctor and he has a plaque on his wall and said he graduated from the best medical school on the planet in 1992.
Say Harvard.
Yeah, in 1992.
Knows nothing about it.
And he hasn't kept up with his...
He knows nothing, zero about mold.
So it can be misdiagnosed.
And he'll put a cap on you called chronic fatigue syndrome by take this, take that, and those drugs don't help you at all, will not help you.
Okay.
And then another reason I want to talk about mold is that it is everywhere, in homes, in offices, and in government buildings, as I will talk about later. I mean, the Washington, D.C. office of EPA, who is supposed to help us with this problem, is full of mold, and they denied it, even said that they had it, or have it. So I want to bring it to people's consciousness that this is everywhere. The mold is everywhere because everywhere there are water damages, little floods in your home, little floods in your office. And these little floods is what brings the mold into the building, in the walls and ceilings and air, AC system and all of that, and cause all these problems, which we doctors mislabel and misdiagnose as chronic fatigue. There are thousands of people out there with chronic fatigue, not knowing that they can be cured, they can be totally live a normal life if they are diagnosed properly, and if it turns out to be mold. Don't misunderstand me by thinking that chronic fatigue is mold. It is not. Chronic fatigue is just a huge over the head label that has many other conditions that will fit. For example, Lyme. A lot of doctors call Lyme a chronic fatigue syndrome, or misdiagnose it. They don't know that it's a Lyme, or they check Borrelia, which is the bacteria causes mold, and say, okay, you don't have Borrelia. You don't have, it's in your head. And in fact, the person could have Bartonella, could have Ehrlichia, the other they call Lyme-related bacterial species. That's in the saliva of the tick. It's when the tick bites the person, sends all 5 bacteria into you, or sends all 4 minus Borrelia. Your doctor will miss it because your doctor tests for Borrelia and it's negative.
So when you talk about this, I mean, again, going back to the background of it is if I were a doctor and I graduated in 1992 and I didn't continue to educate myself on mold, then if someone came to me and I tested them for mold, I would only look for that one type of issue coming out of the
Not
Lyme.
mold, Lyme.
The Lyme. I would only test for that one item, right?
Item.
And so if that is Borrelia?
Borrelia, yes.
Borrelia. So if that's not present, I would say, well, okay, it's not a Lyme disease. It's just that catch-all phrase of it's. I just want to make sure I understand that. So it's just that catch-all phrase of chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yes.
And now I've kind of labeled you as, well, it can't be cured. You just got to live with it. Is that it?
Yes.
Oh, that's sad.
And take chronic fatigue syndrome drugs approved by FDA.
Gotcha.
It's not going to do anything.
Okay.
So that's why it's millions of people affected, millions of people are misdiagnosed, and that's why I wanted to bring it to the consciousness and let you, the audience, or let everyone who heard me know, I may have it, or my friend may have it, my relative may have it. The classical signs of as we will talk about in the next series, classical signs of I think you got mold. I want that knowledge. Yeah. Knowledge is power. Knowledge gives you that, hey, I think you have mold.
Yeah.
Find a mold doctor. What year did he graduate? 2005? Did he go to continue medical education? He didn't? Boom. Let's find somebody else.
So take us back to that history. I mean, have we always been dealing with mold and Lyme like forever? Or is it just something most recently?
No. If I may, I read you the Bible. Okay. How's that? That's thousands of years ago. And in fact, God says in the Bible, spends more time in the Bible, more pages in the Bible than any disease there is. Isn't that funny?
On mold.
On mold.
Wow.
Is that strange?
Must be serious.
Must be serious. And it was a serious problem then. It's even more serious problem now. And the way God told Moses in the Bible, okay, and I'm quoting that, Leviticus verses 34 to 57, how God told Moses to take care of his house is exactly the way a contractor would take care of your house right now. The same principles apply. So if I may read this.
Please do.
I'm reading right off the Bible. The Lord said to Moses, when you enter the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as your possession, the priest is to order the house to be empty before he goes in to examine the mildew. Okay, that's mold.
Okay. All right.
Okay. He is to examine the mildew on the walls, and if it has greenish or reddish depressions that appear to be deeper than the surfaces of the wall, the priest shall go out the doorway of the house and close up for 7 days. Don't know why 7 days. Actually, close up forever. On the seventh day, the priest shall return to inspect the house. If the mildew has spread on the walls, he is to order the house contaminated and order contaminated stones to be torn out of the house and thrown into unclean places outside of town. He must have all the insides of the walls of the house scraped, and the material that is scraped off dumped into an unclean place outside of town. Then they are to take other stones to replace these and take new clay and plaster the house. Rebuild it almost. If the mildew reappears in the house after the stones have been torn out and the house scraped and plastered, the priest is to go and examine it. And if the mildew has spread in the house, it is a destructive mildew, destructive mold. The house is unclean, God says. It must be torn down.
Wow.
Imagine tearing down your house.
Wow.
Its stones, timbers, and all the plasters are taken out of the town to an unclean place. The whole place torn out and throw it out in an unclean place outside of town. Anyone who sleeps or eats in the house must wash his clothes. I mean, of course, we do more now here, but imagine thousands of years ago, God said that to Moses.
That this was an issue then, that they knew, that God knew.
And God spent so much time, the most pages in the Bible talking about this disease, more so than leprosy and everything else.
Wow.
Okay, these are the regulations for mildew. These are God's regulations for mildew. You got to do that.
Yeah.
Regulations.
Yeah. You just can't live with it.
Rather than the 10 Amendments, the 10 Amendments, you must not violate. These are my regulations.
Okay.
You must not violate. Okay, so here's the Bible that as old as that. And today, I mean, we have contractors, and contractors do the same thing.
Sure.
Same thing. In fact, they are required by law now. The EPA require that the contractors do a bunch of things that in fact the EPA require them to be certified. Just a contractor can't do it. You got to call certified people. They were certified certificate, and they come into your house. Listen to what they do to you. Very much like Bible. Okay, for household contents. Okay, these are water damaged buildings. It doesn't matter whether it's a home, your office, or a governmental building, it doesn't matter. EPA building, Washington, D.C., doesn't matter. Got to do all of these things. That a certified contractor will have to do these. Discard all porous and semi-porous contents. Everything.
Wow.
Semi-porous, out the door.
Wow.
Dumped. Discard all carpets. No carpets. Replace them with tiles or wood. Wipe down all surfaces with microfiber towels. In the rooms, okay, filtration of all ERMI tested positive rooms. So there's a test right now EPA recognizes, and every specialists, doctors, and contractors recognize called ERMI, E-R-M-I.
Okay.
And you do this test in each of the rooms that you frequently stay in. Could be a bedroom, could be a study room. You test your room out. And then if it's positive, exceeded 2, you got more problem, okay? And this test, this room called ERMI positive room, I give these rooms a name.
Okay.
You got to put in an air filtration system.
Okay.
Because the molds, spores circulate in the air, so you got to suck them out. And even if you redo the house, you have to suck them out
Because they're airborne.
Yeah, they're airborne.
Okay.
They're just like poisonous gas. In fact, there are 5 species that the U.S. Department of Defense use it as a biological warfare.
Wow.
And it causes cancer. Spores can cause cancer, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, all kinds of problems that we'll talk about later. Okay. You gotta dehumidify all these rooms. So you gotta dehumidify. You gotta dehumidify.
Because that's what is that part of the environment then that the
mold loves.
Darkness and moisture.
First started it is a little flood.
Okay.
A little flood.
Okay.
And then the humidity continue their growth inside the walls, ceilings, AC system, and everything else.
Gotcha.
They just grow and grow and grow.
Gotcha.
Yeah. For the AC system, which you didn't have in the Bible time, the contractor will remove and replace all AC systems. Can you imagine how costly that will be?
Wow.
Dump the whole AC system because they are inside.
They're living inside
the machines and the ducts. Remove and replace all ductwork. Wow. I mean that's how costly that will be.
Big time.
Big time. Okay. What do you do with the basements and boiler areas and all that? You have to dehumidify them. You got to use a HEPA. HEPA stands for High Efficiency Particulate Absorber. That's a term used by the EPA and federal government that you must have. Your filter must qualify for that.
So that's an HEPA.
HEPA.
Okay. All right.
You must use HEPA qualified equipment. Air scrub those rooms. Removal of all walls 4 feet from the floor for examination.
Wow.
Imagine a contractor come in and cut out everything.
Wow.
4 walls we have here, 4 feet, up to 4 feet, just to look at it.
That's amazing.
To look at it. Okay.
Not even to say there is anything there.
He said, no, not this wall. You can't touch this wall. Do the other 3. No, I quit.
Wow.
That's what a contractor will say. Hey, my license may get yanked, or my certification get yanked because I did 3 and not 4. Wow. So you got to let me do all 4 up to 4 feet high just to look.
Man.
And of course, if I find it, we have to remediate it. Remove all the insulations in your in your ceiling roof.
Wow.
Replace them. All surfaces HEPA vacuumed and wiped clean. Now, does that sound like a modern version of God's verse?
Well,
God's
does.
principles should be done.
Absolutely.
The questions come back to the significance of our talk. Why is it significant? So many people are affected with symptoms, and we're going to go to symptoms, I think, on the next session.
Yeah.
It's because it's very long. And once you know your loved ones or your friend or whoever has these symptoms, it has to be more than 8, less than 38.
So you said 38. So is that like there could be 38 different types of symptoms from mold?
From mold alone.
Wow. Yeah. So we'll get into that in the next episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So today we want to talk about, hey, what is mold? Why is it so significant? And is it just something now,
No.
or has it been forever? And are you going to a doctor with one of these 38 symptoms that Dr. Chein will talk about soon in the next session, and your doctor is misdiagnosing it because their education level is not where it should be?
Or education period was not beyond 2008.
I mean, let's say if it's 2007, they knew everything they were supposed to know at 2007 to be the best they could, but
Yes.
this was a breakthrough and more education. So, wow, this is powerful, Dr. Chein.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to share this with people that you know. I mean, like, we live here in the desert. I never think of like, well, we have a mold problem here in the desert.
No, we don't. But we have retirees coming from East Coast and from Northern California, where there are a lot of forests, retiring here in Sun City, in Palm Springs, and they were labeled and diagnosed chronic fatigue syndrome, and they're suffering, and they say, I've been to 20, 30 doctors. Nobody can help me. Nobody can help me. That's the classical presentation. So when you hear someone who talk like that, mold should hit you.
Yeah.
And also it's multi-system and multi-symptom. If a guy says, I only have a headache, I have a bad headache. No, that's not it. He's got to have 8, he's got to have 7 more symptoms that you got to look for.
Gotcha.
And if he says only neurological, I shake, I have a headache, I can't feel, I get tingling, and just neurological, no, that's not mold either, because it's only one system.
Yeah.
You got to have multi-system, GI system, muscle system, other systems. GI system is the second one.
Gotcha.
Diarrhea. How's that related? Diarrhea, headache. It's not related. Oh,
It is.
that should hit you.
Gotcha. So we'll dive into
Yes,
that in
we'll
the next
dive into
session. So Dr. Chein, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Your Optimum Health. If this makes sense, and you know either you're suffering with it or someone else is suffering something that the doctors have labeled, well, that's just the way it is, or it's chronic fatigue syndrome, you'll want to stay tuned for this next episode, because we're going to talk specifically, Dr. Chen's going to talk specifically about, hey, what are the symptoms and how are they related? And then make sure, if you have these, to talk to a doctor who has that education level that says, hey, I know then there's how to deal with mold, how to deal with Lyme, but specifically mold. Dr. Chein, thank you so much.
You're
We'll see you
welcome.
again next time on Your Optimum Health. I'm Jeff Harrison.
Dr. Edmund Chein.